What's up, everybody? Corey here. Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, then welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about The Last of Us. So I've never really played the game too much. Definitely never played the second one. I started playing the first one again, and I've made it further this time than I did the first time, which isn't saying much. I'm just barely getting through like the first building that you have to navigate through with all the clickers and zombies and all that kind of stuff. And the game, it's one of those games where I'm not very good at being sneaky in games. I like to just run in and murderize everything. So it's a very, very different take on zombie games, which is interesting, but it's also one of the reasons I've never really invested too much time in it. It's a slow rolling game. Now I understand that later on the game gets absolutely insane. At least that's what I've heard. I decided with all of this to watch the show. And the reason I decided to watch the show is because I don't know, I was just hanging out and I was like, fuck it. I think Pedro Pascal, politically and as far as society goes, is one of the dumbest people in the world. However, I truly respect him as an actor. As an actor, he is phenomenal. I've yet to see him in a role that I don't think he pulled off incredibly well. I was hoping in the first episode of The Last of Us to see him, make a reference to Game of Thrones as he was beating the guy to death. But regardless of that, it just would have been funny. We're going to talk mostly about episode 3 and my gripes with the show. So to start things off, before we even get too deep into it, I understand that Bill and Frank are insinuated in the game at being gay. That's fine. It's not unheard of, not uncommon. I mean, it is what it is. But when it came to episode 3 of the show, we have an hour and 20 minute or so long episode, and an hour of it within this zombie show is building up this story around two characters that are not even alive at the end of the episode. This is as stupid as a decision as turning Sarah black. Now, I think that the actress that played Sarah would have been much better than who they chose to play Ellie. If they would have chose that actress to play as Ellie, I think she could have pulled the role off better than Bella Ramsey. I don't like Bella Ramsey. I think Bella Ramsey looks like little girl Mark Zuckerberg, and she has no emotion, and she seems just a bad pick for the role, putting it as nicely as I can muster. I don't like her. I think that there's many roles that she could play. Her role in Game of Thrones was excellent. It was amazing. Her role as Ellie, I don't like it. She is an insane psychopath, and she's literally got the face of someone that would be that. Like, she's got the appearance on her as someone that would perpetrate crimes against their fellow schoolmates. Now, that's just my opinion. I don't think she was right for the role. Doesn't look like her, doesn't act like her. It's just weird. Pedro Pascal as Joel seems fine. He seems to pull the role off completely great. Up until this point, I did have a little bit of a gripe with how old they made Tess That was weird. She seems a lot younger in the show or in the game, but whatever. There's been no romance in the show previous to episode 3, with one very, very small exception when Joel is laying in bed and Tess lays in bed next to him and kind of puts her arm around him after he rolls over away from her. That's the extent of the romance in the show. You could say, well, there's mouth to mouth. Yes, zombies infecting other people. That is the mouth to mouth. Then we get to episode 3. And the complete psychopathy within Ellie is in full display as she finds an entrapped zombie infected and slices his forehead open and then shoves her knife through his brain, which, I mean, kill him, yeah, but it just seemed like the look on her face. It was very strange to me. Whatever. When I'm watching this with my best friend and I was like, damn, she looks like she needs to go look at some flowers. Walking Dead reference, which is another zombie series that started out really good. And then it just, over the course of a couple seasons, just got so boring and repetitive and just an annoyance to deal with. So from there, like, still beginning of the episode, we get introduced to Nick Offerman's character. And I really like this character. The way that this character was portrayed was a completely believable survivalist. It was great. And then Frank falls into one of his traps. He saves Frank. They fall in love. Whatever. Completely believable. Completely possible. But it goes to the point where there's literally a gay sex scene in the middle of this episode. A zombie show that has had no romance, not even two people kissing. And now we're watching gay sex between Nick Offerman and the person that they seemingly modeled after Jordan Peterson. Now, we need to remember that when it comes to Hollywood, nothing is done by accident. When you've got the Picard show that is doing a whole bunch of changes to the show, to the history of the characters, and then saying in the commercials, in the previews, in the trailers for the show, you need to move into the future or die like the past or something along those lines. You've got to accept the change or die with the past. Whatever it is, the statement that they make. The reason that this is the statement that is in the trailer is for a very, very particular reason. Hollywood does not pay the people that they pay, the amount of money that they pay them, for these kind of things to accidentally happen. Now, when they took this character of Frank and it got further on, they got older, he's literally Jordan Peterson. If I were to just show you a glimpse of this picture and then go to something else, you would think that that's a picture of Jordan Peterson and Nick Offerman sitting at a piano. Again, this is not by accident. The thing about this episode that was the most annoying is it was a complete and total waste of time. We take an entire hour out of this episode and dedicate it to the first romance in the show. And it is the gay relationship between Bill and Frank that is lightly insinuated within the game. This is what's going to cause the viewership to plummet. Because regardless of how you feel about this, if you're watching a zombie show and then 3 episodes in, you're watching 2 men in bed thrusting against each other, that's not going to be something that you're going to want to continue watching, at least in my opinion. Now, I don't care what people choose to do with their life. I don't care that they were in a gay relationship and that they had their life and that they found love and whatever that is. That's great. Good for them. That's my hope for everyone, that you can find someone that you truly love. But the fact that the entire episode was about that, I fast forwarded through the majority of the episode because I was like, where's the fucking zombies? Where's the fucking adventure? I don't care about these two. I care about the relationship that's being built between Joel and Ellie, because that should be the primary focus of the show. Obviously I knew Sarah was going to die at the beginning of episode 1. And it still brought a pain to my heart to see that happen, because the man's holding his daughter in his arms as her life vacates her body. That is a horrifying thought. That is such a tremendous burden to bear. And the fact that the love that he lost, the daughter that he had, that he's able to find some semblance of hope in this little girl that he's taken on the duty of protecting and saving. That is massive. That is huge. They didn't need to go anywhere near as far within this episode as they did. And the fact that they did honestly makes me feel like I don't really care to keep watching the show. I honestly feel like the episode last night was robbed of me. I'm not watching a fucking romance series. Like, if I was watching a romance show and that happened, okay, cool. But that's not what I'm watching. And then the fact that they give the dude, they have him dressed like Jordan Peterson. He's got the same haircut as Jordan Peterson. He's got the same beard as Jordan Peterson. It's not an accident. And it's just, it shows us that HBO, though we thought that this was a good sign, it shows us that once again, we were wrong. And this is why I don't really put any faith in any showrunners anymore. look at all of these series that are coming out. They're putting so much focus on gay shit, on racially charged shit, on trans shit, when it doesn't matter for that show, when there's no reason for it. I mean, you've got the Velma show constantly ragging on white people, constantly ragging on single dads or just dads in general. And it's like, you guys know that you're basically taking like a very large portion of people and saying, you're a piece of shit. And we truly think that. But keep watching our show, because if you don't, you're a racist piece of shit, or you're a homophobic piece of shit. And it's like, or you just fuck up when you're making the shows. You just fuck up when you're making these shows. And you make terrible decisions. And you can scream from the mountaintops that this episode was good, or that the sky is actually orange, or that water tastes like chicken, or that men can be women. But it doesn't make it true. Anyways, that's the video. I'm probably done with the show. It's just, fucking do better, guys. Come on. Such a fucking slap in the face.